big thank you to Mark and Richard for giving me the opportunity to come along this morning and talk to you about the John Lewis story. I've got to start with saying how comfortable I feel this morning, because I'm back home. So Manchester, born and bred, down the road, Cheetah Mill, lovely part of the northwest. Anybody know the kind of area? Anybody brave enough to say they know the area? Yeah, that's good to hear. I started my career off, I'm proud to say, as a forklift truck driver in Trafford Park in Manchester. I worked there for a number of years with my dad in a big warehouse in Trafford Park, and now hit the dizzy heights of management within logistics. So I'm kind of living proof that you can kind of get on, which is great to see. And I've never felt any more comfortable than having a mug of coffee in a warehouse with a high vis on, talking to real people. There you go, that's the start for 10. Okay, let's see if we can get this going. So I'm going to kind of hopefully feed you with lots of information about technology, and the biggest fear I've got is whether the presentation works and the slides work. So we'll see how that goes. So a journey or a destination. Now, just to try and give a little bit of background to John Lewis, I'm hoping everybody is aware of the John Lewis partnership, the John Lewis department stores. Yeah, sure. Everybody's a John Lewis shopper. No pesky Amazon shoppers in the room, anything like that. That's good to hear. We've been going for quite a while now, 155 years to be precise, that we've been a partnership with the largest co-owned business in the UK and the largest department store business in the UK. Not yet owned by Mike Ashley, so we've managed to fend that one off, which is good so far. We go back some time. The chap in the picture there is our founder, Speeden Lewis, the son of the founder, who decided, I think around 1927, to basically put the business into trust and share the business across all the people that worked within it. He was getting quite embarrassed that between himself and his brother and his father, they were earning more money together than the entire workforce. So as you do, he sat down and considered that and decided to share the business with the troops, which was quite an interesting. And we've been a co-ownership ever since. So we're all co-owners of the business, and we're sharing the any profits that we're able to make, which is getting incredibly difficult to do these days. And equally, 60% of the John Lewis partnership is the Waitrose department stores. So I'm going to be talking about the John Lewis experience, not the Waitrose experience, but happy to take any questions on that at the end. So over the next kind of 20 minutes or so, I'm going to try and give you an appreciation of the sheer extent that the business has gone through to try and grapple with this ever-changing kind of dynamic, from the good old days when the customer did most of the hard work, the heavy lifting, the transport to and from the shops, the carrying the bags to and from the shops, to a world where we know now where the customer is much more digitally savvy, much more kind of demanding when it comes to service, speed, convenience, etc. And that has been quite a shift that many businesses have had to contend with. If you go back probably about 12 years ago now, the business had an overarching strategy, an overarching ambition to open more of these. Now, is anybody, this is a test for the kind of younger generation. These are shops. This is the high street. This is good old traditional retail where people kind of came to these places to purchase products. And the main ambition of the business a number of years ago was to open more shops. It had 26 department stores across the UK, and we had the sole ambition to create another 10 department stores in 10 years. So program 10 in 10 was born. Our online business was incredibly juvenile and immature in them days. In fact, our online business was never projected to be anything bigger than an average sized department store. That was the kind of view back then. So it was all about shops and a kind of little consideration to where we were with online. Now, just to kind of set the scene, I'm guessing back then that Jeff and his team were probably locked away in dark rooms, already considering drones and warehouses in the sky. But we need to consider that John Lewis were coming for this from a slightly less mature kind of position. This was our kind of first attempt at two-man home delivery, which went relatively well at the time. So we were quite immature. The network was quite immature, as the pictures here show. We had a very old legacy distribution network, very little in terms of kind of machinery, mechanisation, etc. The troops worked 5 days a week with an early finish on a Friday, 9 till 5. We were, as just alluded to by Mark, sort of deemed as a necessary evil, the distribution channel of John Lewis. It was the kind of function that got in the way of the kind of key aspects of buying products and selling products. Lead times were measured in days, if not weeks in certain cases. And one of the real key dynamics in this switch to e-commerce is the change from this warehouse pack, this kind of bulk replenishment into the back of shops, to being able to pick single units and eaches from that. And that was a kind of a real key challenge to business, and many businesses still face with that challenge. That resulted in us having too much stock. So this is just a great example of the perimeter stock rooms in all of our department stores, full to the gunnels with additional stock. In fact, about 37% of our stock was in the distribution centres, the rest was downstream in the department stores. So that kind of replenishment effort was a real challenge. If the shop required 2 packets of Lego, we sent it a box of 6, and it put 2 on the shelf, and it had to find somewhere in the stock room to put the additional 4. So you can imagine we hold about 350,000 different products. So the amount of residual stock required to do that replenishment effort was huge. So that gave us a real kind of headache. I'm going to kind of rush forward now to present day and try to fill the gap in on how we've actually managed to get there. We now have 51 department stores across the UK, of varying shapes, sizes and propositions, which has made that kind of replenishment effort much more difficult than we originally expected. So full line department stores, smaller format stores, etc. And our online business has completely boomed. We introduced fashion online in 2011 for the first time, and got the whole wave of kind of reverse logistics that came with introducing fashion online. That was quite an interesting challenge. In fact, if you go back to our quite interesting views on where the business would go online, we've exceeded that slightly. Last year it was close on £2 billion turnover. Close on 50% of our sales is now online. And again, if you go back to the original design days, that was never ever envisaged, and it was always going to be a kind of how the hell are we going to accommodate that? In fact, the business now believes that by next year, we potentially are going to be a 50-50 business. So 50% of our sales will be online, 50% will be traditional high street retailing. And there's always the confused boundaries as to where the transaction takes place. So many people browse online, go into the shop and purchase. They go into the shop, try things, come back and purchase online. So there are some blurred boundaries there. But generally speaking, that's where we believe as a business we're kind of heading. So our automation journey, just getting into the kind of technological side of where we've ended up. This is my first and only advert for Knapp, but we formed is there anybody here from Knapp representing Knapp today? Oh, of course, yeah, sorry, I was going to tell you the truth, but okay, well, we formed a marriage many years ago, and it has been a typical marriage. We've had the odd relate counselling session and things, but in the main, we've had a fantastic relationship and built what can only be described, and you'd expect me to say, a real kind of world-class case study in what we've got at Magna Park. So we started with Magna Park 1, so this is one of 2 buildings that form a campus. The original idea with Magna Park 1, when you looked at all the base data and all of the kind of forecasts of where the business was going, it suggested we'd only need a building around about 400,000 square feet, which is indicated by the red line there. But we decided to build it bigger, just in case the future didn't kind of turn out the way we expected it to. And thank heavens we actually made that call. So building scale and capacity was something we agreed to do at a very early stage. The second area was we said we're going to try and build it in as modular way as we possibly could. So rather than building what we thought we needed for the next 10 years, we'll kind of keep that horizon as close to us as we possibly can. And as we need more capacity and more capability, we'll add on to that. Easier said than done, but literally every year since we've been live, we've undergone some quite major surgery to enable us to accommodate the next year's growth. And if you look at that online kind of exponential curve that I've shown before, that has been the biggest challenge. The investment today in the automation at Magna Park is around £170 million worth of mechanisation, and the majority of that in the last kind of 5, 6, 7 years has been the growth online. In 2012, a overarching supply chain strategy, because the world was changing and it wasn't going the way we expected. Online was emerging, the whole kind of shape of John Lewis was on the move. An overarching supply chain strategy called Q was announced. And Programme Q basically gave us a network consolidation opportunity. It was £250 million investment So alongside the Magna 1 and 2 automated campus, we introduced a Magna 3 that was basically houses our bigger products, two-man products, white goods, TVs, furniture, etc. And that's in addition to a 1 million square foot Waitrose facility on the same campus. So that was a separate investment of money there. So the programme Q actually took into account and recognised the fact that we had to do something quite different. Over the last 2 years, we've managed to collapse around about 8, I think there's 9 actually, kind of legacy distribution operations into the 2 new DCs, and that's been kind of no small feat. In 2015, we introduced the second building, Magna Part 2, and we connected that with a 100-metre link bridge to form a campus, and this gives us the opportunity to maintain this national distribution centre network. Because as opposed to some businesses that have the kind of critical mass like an Amazon of this world to have everything everywhere, our network isn't like that. We've got some of everything and a small amount of everything. So if we had to break our NDC network up into regional distribution centres, it would mean buying additional stock to make sure the availability was right. Then you end up with all the consolidation issues as well. Within the Magna Part 2 building, and there is a quite self-conceited film at the end of this that brings it more to life if you don't get the pictures here. We introduced a hanging garment solution that's about 1 million square feet, holds 1.5 million hanging garments in a quite highly automated arena. We use technology, 2D shuttles, which is one of Knapp's latest developments. So where has the kind of single directional shuttles that are quite common now in many automated DCs. The 2D shuttles is quite a new invention. It gives a lot more flexibility in terms of scale. So if you buy an aisle of ASRS with a shuttle on every level and you need more capacity, you're compelled to buy another aisle with a lot more kind of performance capability where you might not need it, you might just need storage. 2D shuttles give you an opportunity to scale capacity without having to go for additional performance. I hope that makes sense. We've got a pallet storage high bay, which we're extending actually this year. We're doubling the size of that. As 28,000 pallets that are stored in there. Hanging garment put station. So part of the migration was migrating hanging garments into this facility, enabling us to consolidate hanging fashion with products that we already had there, which has been a real big win. We've got quite a high use of automated carton erecting machines and closing machines. The technology we use there is a business called B+, a French business which I believe is now owned by Sealed Air. As part of that migration, we closed 2 quite established facilities, one in Park Royal in London, which basically did the shop replenishment of fashion, and we finished with the operation with Clipper Logistics in Clipper Ollerton that did our online fashion, again consolidating all of that into one building. Investment benefits of that has been quite stark. So we've seen a reduction in labour of around about 45% by bringing all of those operations under the one roof. Our outbound parcels last year, because of that consolidation effort, meant that we actually dispatched over 1 million parcels less than we did the previous year. So we've got some real benefits of scale when it comes to carriage and the likes of carriage costs. That consolidation effort certainly helped to improve the customer proposition where they were collecting 1 parcel rather than 2. And it's enabled us to do more work with a number of our brands. We've got about 100 brands that we do the e-commerce fulfillment of. We're not kind of Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon. We're not trying to get into a marketplace situation. But these are establishments we've had long relationships with, and that's enabled us to improve the e-commerce offer for those brands. So some kind of interesting statistics. The facility looks after 70% of that £2 billion worth of sales online. And an interesting stat, 1 week's customer demand in 2009 actually equated to an hour and a half of demand in 2018. So just the kind of sheer scale of the volume that's gone through there over recent years has been quite amazing. New future technology, we're actually in the process of introducing our first production robots in the site. They go live in August this year, so this is a joint development. We've done a bit of a triage between ourselves, Knapp and ABB Robotics, where we're going to be using traditional robots to do almost work as a mini load to sequence and help us with consolidation. That's a new investment we've got. As I mentioned, we're doubling the size of the high bay. And we equally now have a conceptual design that takes us through to 2025. So we've constantly had to try and keep ahead of the game. It's incredibly difficult these days to get the business to commit to anything that's happening next week, let alone 2025. But we've got a real flexible kind of solution that enables us to add elements should we need that based on different things. So we're in a great place from a kind of development point of view. Just to kind of add the reality to that, we're not without challenge, and I think it'd be fair to say the whole industry is absolutely under threat for many reasons. One, we can blame our friends from the States and Amazon for the introduction of Black Friday, and I'm sure everybody was around in 2012 when it was first introduced. And I think it was 2014 when the reality of what Black Friday has actually done to the industry hit home. It was a bad year for it was a bad day at work, let's be honest. The whole industry came to its knees. Carrier transport activity kind of failed, and there was lots of unhappy customers during that year, right across the retail piece. But even though we've got used to the beast and we can't put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak, it's still a real challenge, and especially the point underneath there on resource and the kind of demand that Black Friday has on kind of physical labour to help you through them periods is as big a challenge for us, even with the investment we've made, as it is for many manual kind of operations out there. The channel mix won't stop, so we are kind of seeing currently, and I'm not sure whether it's related to the current economic climate, a kind of slowing down with the e-commerce, but it potentially will come back again. And we continue to see this switch of people shopping online rather than traditional high street. And productivity, I mean, the efficiency of our business is on the top of our agenda in the boardroom, and I'm guessing it's quite close to the top in many businesses. So we're not immune to any of them kind of current challenges. So this is a film that will probably repeat everything I've said, but I'm sure the film will do it more justice than I do. It's very self-conceited. It's all about John Lewis, so bear with it, but it does give you a good example of what we've managed to introduce over the last number of years.
In recent years, John Lewis has experienced rapid omni-channel growth. Online sales are growing year on year, with greater demand for proposition and speed. Such a rapidly shifting market landscape called for a change in the design of our supply chain. Over £150 million has been invested in creating this state-of-the-art, customer-centric fulfillment centre. Home to some of Europe's most cutting-edge automated logistics systems, and maintained by a team of multi-skilled partners around the clock. This is Magna Park. Our original supply chain plans were built around opening 10 department stores in 10 years, with a small focus on e-commerce. Our vision rapidly shifted to embrace the burgeoning online marketplace, which called for a complete redesign of our supply chain process. Magna Park is modular by design. This has enabled us to adapt to the growth of online shopping. Consisting of 2 million square feet across 2 sites and connected by a bridge, the design of our site allows the consolidation of over 250,000 products. From a single location in Milton Keynes, we serve an international online customer base and fulfill the replenishment needs of our stores nationally. Magna Park looks after 3 different types of product: binnable items, oversized non-binnable items, and hanging garments. In our inbound areas, goods are receipted from over 3,500 suppliers, where stock is then scanned, counted, and logged onto the warehouse management system. Some products are diverted to our decanting area, where goods are made shelf-ready by removing outer packaging. Other products, such as hanging garments, arrive from the supplier shop-ready. From here, items will go into a range of different storage devices until they are needed for dispatch. Goods are stored in a number of different areas in Magna Park, depending on the type of product. The Mini Load is our largest automated system for binnable products. The DOSR area is designed to store binnable products for online orders. Y-Log is a cutting-edge, bi-directional shuttle storage system for binnable products. Binnable products are also stored in the fully automated pallet high bay. The non-binnable department is a manually operated racking area where we store oversized products. Finally, we have a hanging garments solution, which is our storage area for all hanging products. One of the key design aspects of Magna Park is the ability to serve and replenish our stores and customers directly from a single pool of stock. We replenish all of our department stores nationally on a little and often basis in single selling units. The 3 different product types are picked and dispatched in the following areas. Binnable products are picked in the replenishment department into store-friendly family groups. Hanging garments are retrieved from a dynamic buffer and sorted automatically against individual store requirements. Oversized products are handled manually in our non-binnable area. By bringing these product types together at Magna Park, our branches benefit from receiving consolidated deliveries containing shelf-ready products, saving time and money. Online orders make up a growing percentage of our total sales. Magna Park has been designed to combine and fulfill johnlewis.com orders, delivering directly to our customers as part of our omni-channel offer. This includes click and collect at our John Lewis and Waitrose stores. Our site has been developed to enable us to consolidate different product types, which results in a reduction of around 1 million parcels being delivered to our online customers per year. The majority of these orders are picked directly into an appropriate sized carton that is then delivered to the customer, reducing the need for double handling. While some cartons head to the finishing area, where a combination of automated packing machines seal the customer orders ready for dispatch, others are directed to a packing bench, where the partner last touch is added manually to the order cycle. Click and collect is the fastest growing area of our omni-channel offer, providing next day delivery to our John Lewis and Waitrose stores for our customers to pick up at their convenience. Many of our customers still choose to have their order delivered directly to their home address. Magna Park fulfills this via our courier and postal network. In addition to the investment, the key to our success has been our partners. They have played a vital role in the growth of Magna Park, adapting positively to constant changes to their working environment as the site has developed. In close partnership with our logistics automation supplier Canap, we have established a market-leading distribution capability that has continued to deliver our business growth strategy. Magna Park's evolution firmly places the customer-centric supply chain at the heart of the success of John Lewis.
What we're trying to do. Just to kind of finish off with some kind of key insights. Again, going back to the wild world of logistics and distribution, I think many years ago the guys in kind of warehouses like this were kind of deemed as the back end of the journey, and these guys are really becoming frontline and incredibly close to the part of the customer journey, and we couldn't do this without them. So there's a huge dependability there piece still on the kind of individuals that make these operations work. I think the second insight would be flexibility. It's incredibly expensive but fundamental, and if we hadn't have added some of the agility into the design in the early days, we could have ended up with a very big warehouse that was able to do lots more department stores and with the inability to trade online, and that's again been a great learning for us. And I think thirdly is capability, and I think it's a kind of a tagline that somebody gave. I thought I was responsible for it, but I honestly believe in this day and age the kind of world of logistics is definitely becoming the new retail. Thank you.